My name is Eleanor Brooks, and I am 60 years old now. I live alone in a small, quiet house on Willow Street in Portland, Oregon. Silence has been my closest companion for many years. Many years ago, my husband walked out of my life without looking back. He left no address, no goodbye, and no reason that I could understand. From that day on, I became both mother and father to my child. I had only one child, my son Daniel Brooks. When his father left us, Daniel was still a small, innocent boy. He grew up without memories of his father, and he never asked about him. Whenever I tried to speak about his father, Daniel quietly changed the subject. Life after that was never gentle with me, not even for a single day. I had no savings, no support, and no time to break down. Every morning, I cleaned large houses that never felt like homes. Every evening, I worked at a small bakery near Hawthorne Avenue. My hands ached, my body trembled, but my heart refused to quit. I never complained, not even in my prayers. Every sacrifice I made was for Daniel's future, not my comfort. I let go of my dreams so my son could build his own. Years passed, and Daniel grew into a confident young man. When I looked at him, my tired heart felt proud and full. I believed he would always stand beside me, no matter what. But everything shifted the year Daniel turned 25. One evening, he spoke about a woman named Claire Monroe. His eyes sparkled in a way I had never seen before. He said she was charming, intelligent, and full of ambition. I smiled, because his happiness mattered more than my doubts. Love sometimes asks us to stay silent, even when fear speaks loudly. The following Sunday, Daniel brought Claire to my home for dinner. She praised the house, the food, and my politeness with careful smiles. But behind her eyes, I sensed something cold and unsettling. I said nothing that night and kept my fears locked inside. I wanted my son's happiness to come before my own instincts. So I smiled, even when my heart felt uneasy. Slowly, Claire began shaping Daniel's world in quiet ways. She never insulted me openly, never raised her voice. Instead, she planted small thoughts that grew like shadows. She spoke about expensive clothes and elegant restaurants. She laughed at simple meals and ordinary routines. Daniel started listening more to her than to me. He stopped meeting his childhood friends from Maple Street. His clothes changed. His words changed, even his silence changed. The boy I raised with sacrifice was slowly fading away. Our Sunday dinners quietly disappeared from our lives. At first, he said work was busy, then he said he was tired. Soon, excuses turned into absence. His phone calls grew short and distant. "I have to go, Mom," he would say, without warmth. Each goodbye felt like another small loss. One day, I gathered courage and spoke my fear. "Daniel, my son, you feel different," I said softly. "I am worried about you." The moment I mentioned Claire, his face hardened. "You're jealous," he shouted, anger filling his voice. "You don't want me to be happy." His words pierced deeper than silence ever could. I wasn't jealous. I was afraid of losing him, but he had already chosen her over me. Weeks turned into months, and the house grew colder. No visits, no calls, no letters, only waiting. My home echoed with memories instead of voices. Every morning, I stared at the silent phone beside my bed. Every evening, I watched the street through my front window. Hope became a habit I could not break. People in the neighborhood began to whisper when I passed by. Some said quietly that I must have been a difficult mother. Their words stayed unspoken, but I could feel them. I wanted to scream the truth into the air. I wanted to tell them I loved my son more than myself. But pain taught me silence, and I kept walking. One quiet morning, I opened the local newspaper at the kitchen table. My eyes froze when I saw Daniel Brooks' name in bold letters. The world seemed to stop breathing for a moment. The article spoke of betrayal and broken trust. Claire Monroe had been unfaithful, not with a stranger. She had chosen Daniel's closest friend. The paper slipped from my hands onto the floor. My heart bled, not from anger, but from helpless love. All I wanted was to protect my son again. I thought of running to him, of holding him tightly, but memories of his anger stopped my steps. Fear stood between a mother and her child. That evening, a knock echoed through my quiet house. No one ever came to visit me anymore. My hands shook as I reached for the door. When I opened it, Daniel stood there, broken and pale. His eyes were red, swollen, and filled with regret. In that moment, he looked like my little boy again. Tears fell as he collapsed into my arms. "Mother, I'm sorry," he cried again and again. I held him, and my wounded heart began to heal. In that moment, I did not see the man who had hurt me. I only saw my child, trembling and ashamed in my arms. Love erased every wound without asking permission. Daniel stayed that night, sleeping in his old room. I listened to his quiet breathing through the thin walls. For the first time in months, I slept without tears. By morning, the house felt alive again. The silence had softened, no longer sharp or cruel. Hope returned quietly, like sunlight through curtains. Daniel told me everything between broken sentences, about betrayal, shame, and the loneliness he ignored. I listened, without judgment, without interruption. He asked me how I could forgive him so easily, why my voice carried no anger, only warmth. I smiled because the answer was simple. A mother's heart does not keep score of pain. It remembers scraped knees, bedtime stories, and first steps. Love speaks louder than pride ever could. Now, Daniel lives with me again in our small house. I hear his footsteps, his laughter, his voice every day. The emptiness no longer lives here. People still ask how I forgot the pain so quickly. They ask how betrayal can disappear so easily. They do not understand a mother's love. When I look at Daniel, I see only the boy I raised, the child who held my hand when the world felt heavy. That image lives deeper than any hurt. Families can break each other, yes, but they can heal too. Love is strong enough to bring the loss back home, and I will never stop loving my son.